Um, it's a great honor for me to share this platform with you to talk about an important topic about the purpose of education in Africa. Africa nowadays have some characteristic. Is theater a scene very important for the Western countries, China, United States, Europe. There is a big fight on the continent because it's the place to be today and tomorrow. Because of the natural resources, because of the demographical dividend, and Africa so is very important. But there is the lack of transformation. We do not enough transform the continent. We have a lack of change makers. When we talk here about transformation of the continent, what kind of transformation? I'm sure that in 1 century, we will have the same buildings than in Morocco, in Paris, in the United States. The infrastructure are being developed. But this is not the more important. But I'm talking about transformation in terms of ideal, in terms of vision, in terms of sense, meaning of life. So I'm not sure that the leaders that we have now on that continent are doing the transformation that people are waiting. So why? There is the lack of change makers. 2 main reasons. Not enough university, not enough schools, but it's not the main reason that I will focus during this presentation. The more important for me for this presentation is the colonization of education programs. A few centuries ago, it was the slavery time, the physical slavery. And during the colonization time, we talk about mental slavery. And that part is very important. That mental slavery, we can find it also in the program, in the education in the university. And the African leaders, most of them, in the university, they produce intellectuals who have that kind of mental slavery, and it's very difficult to connect themselves to the reality of the continent. And now the danger is to have also a sense, a meaning slavery, when you lose your soul, when you are not connected to what is very important for you in your life. Consequently, the crises, which are very global in all the continents, all the countries, the crises are now global, but they are more amplified, more important in Africa. Economic and financial crisis, increased inequality, unemployment, poverty, environmental crisis, desertification, deforestation, water, soil, and air pollution, and energy crisis. Even we produce energy, but many families in Africa live in darkness. We have health crisis. You remember AIDS and Ebola disease, we have many problems in the health public crisis. And one important crisis also, the migratory crisis. In Europe, United States, everywhere, that crisis become little by little global crisis. But the origin, most of the time, is from Africa because of the lack of change makers to transform that continent. The political crisis with the refugees, the corruptions, and the religion crisis also, and the value crisis, and that value crisis is very important now in Africa because of the corruption of the journalists, the politicians, and the civil society. So we don't know now what is good, what is bad, and I'm talking about the villages, people who are inside of not in the town, but in the villages. So the crisis of coexistence between people in the same countries, in the same town most of the time. So that kind of crisis also is very amplified, very important in Africa, and the security crisis. And those crises are also amplified by two revolutions: the philosophical transformation with freedom of conscience, freedom of expression, the sexual freedom, technical-scientific revolution also with the urbanization, the time-lapse phenomenon, so and so. And all these crises that I just present here, I can say that it's just because we have a sense crisis, a meaning crisis. That meaning crisis explain all the crises that I just present previously. So that sense crisis bring Africans to be in the consumerism, to to be disconnected to what they are really, and now the development orientation is just a consumerism. And now we have to reconsider a human being with his psychological dimension and spiritual rules, and from that part or from that position to reinvent, to rethink the education. So the knowledge spectrum, most of the time when we are at the school, primary, high school, university, we talk about data, information, knowledge, intelligence, compasses, but not enough wisdom. And wisdom is more close to the truth. But how to teach wisdom in our society, in our university, that is the big issue, the great problem that we have to face. And in the vertical axis, you have what we call the human connectivity, and the horizontal axis, what we call awareness. The human connectivity is how are you connected to yourself? How are you connected to your environment? For example, young African students that we have, they are not connected to themselves, not connected to their environment. It's very rare to see a young African boy exclaiming, saying, "What a nice sunrise, what a nice sunrise." And if he's not able to see the beauty of his environment, it will be very difficult for him to initiate a project in a tourism sector, for example. If also his boy or girl is not connected to the beauty of the landscape, he cannot say the beauty of the landscape, it's very difficult to do something in the agriculture or something in husbandry, animal husbandry. So this connectivity is very important. We don't talk about digital connectivity, but human connectivity. And on the other axis, we talk about awareness, and I will talk more about awareness later. So the big problem, the big issue is the wisdom. The problem of climate, environment, corruption, all those problems that we show previously cannot be solved by mathematics, by physics, by artificial intelligence, but only by wisdom. Business schools try to move on that level by business cases, trying to help the students to be more familiar with decision making, but it's not enough. How to teach wisdom in our business school? We developed a concept that we call Talibayship. We compare it to leadership. Leadership, when we talk about leadership, most of the time it's in terms of performance in the business, and we are not sure that we integrate all the parameters of humanity, ethics, all the parameters that I talked about previously. But when we talk about Talibayship is a word, the Talibay is an Arabic word. That means long life learning. that means humility. Without humility and that mentality of long life learning, it's very difficult to develop the awareness. So what kind of awareness? Five awareness that we call the pentagon of awareness. The first one is the self-awareness. If the self-awareness, historical awareness, world's awareness, the connection with your environment, universal awareness, and the vicariate awareness. So the self-awareness is about freedom, authenticity, or courage. We have to develop that when we teach business education. Without that dimension of self-awareness, it's very difficult to be original, to initiate new project, and to be connected to yourself, to your environment. The second one, the world's awareness, is about impact. If you are not connected to your environment, the quality of the connection with your environment, your community, will determine the impact that you will have on that community. And the historical one is about legacy. When you are not the prisoner of the present, when you think about a long time, when you think about history, your action will be more impactful, and you will think about the legacy. The other one is the universal awareness. When you are at that level, you think you are dealing with values like beauty, truth, love, compassion, and you are disconnected with the cultural identity. So the impact is more important. And the last one is the vicariate awareness. That one is very important. It's referred to what we call the spiritual intelligence. It's more deep. It's in terms of meaning that you give to your life. Meaning your connection to the universe, to the humanity, is not just about one continent or one organization. It's more global. So we bring that diapositive, you maybe recognize it. It's from Bob Quinn, Michigan University. And I think that Mary and Ahmed present almost the same previously. So from that quadrant, the fourth quadrant, it's about now how to match this dimension and to put it in our program and to give to the students more flexibility. The cultivator dimension is empathy, team spirit, family spirit. It's very good, has a leadership, but it's not enough. In the opposite, you will have the warrior. We will point out goals, energizing, celebrating wins, so on, so on. And the other side, we have the explorer. It's about creativity, innovation, but in the opposite, we have the red part, which talk about process, quality, but we need to have all these four dimensions for the business education and to develop the Talibayship. And now, in IAM, this is the path. At the beginning, a few years ago, it was a multidisciplinary university, management section, science and technology, digital art sections. And we move further. Now we talk about interdisciplinary, to cross in the program, management, digital art, science. And then to go further, we talk now about intersectionality. I mean, to take art and to put it in our program of engineering, to take philosophy and to put it in our program of engineering, anthropology in our program of management, so that to help students to have more wisdom, more understanding, more connection to the reality of the society. And this is some of our action, the action that we put in the different program or activities to help the students to develop that connectivity, that awareness. And for example, we have one big program that we call the Green Camp Case. Each year we bring all the students very far from their comfort zone. Answer to your question, I'm sorry for the bad English. Thank you.